Kyle here from All Media Reviews, here to continue the vinyl collection A to Z with the letter N. This isn't a real long video, and if time allows, I will try to make another one, but I'm up against the clock for various reasons, vinyl related actually. So starting with the N's, because it's like N-E, although, yeah. I have three releases from the be considered sort of progressive death metal band featuring violin, very Opeth influence from Australia that I really was into when they first came around. I first heard about them through this EP. This is the first EP, The Aurora Veil. This is Obliviscaris, 2007. This is like a demo slash EP, but it's really good. It's just less is more. You know, there's just the titles are The Tapestry of the Starless Abstract, Forget Not, As Icicles Fall. Is that all this is? It's the 3 tracks. That's interesting. I think, because look, because the Aurora Veil EP, I know for a fact it's not just 3 tracks, but, you know, I guess I'm not going to make more out of this. I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe not. Maybe what it was is that it's like each track was like 8 to 10 minutes, so it doesn't feel like just 3 just normal length songs, of course. And now what did I do here? Anyway, they were together before. I'll have to take care of that later. But that came out in 2007. It was distributed for a while, re-released many times. So then, of course, they had the big debut album, I believe it was 2012, after a lot of issues with their guitarist, Ben Barrett, who's not from Australia, but then he ended up work visa issues because he's from France, I think. But anyway, got squared away. They released this debut album, and a lot of people got into Portal of Eye. You know, and I like this, especially when it came out. I don't know if I've totally said my piece. This is actually a gatefold. So I'm not going to show all the gatefolds of all these records I've got, but just showing what's in my collection just in general. But Plague Flowers, The Kaleidoscope, yeah, As Icicles Fall. Some of the songs on Aurora Veil were either re-recorded or just put on this. Tapestry of the Starless Abstract, also the opening track. I mean, they use clean vocals and growls. It's very Opeth-like, and there's a lot of blast beats. And initially it didn't bother me, but it got to be a little overwhelming on this, which I still like. The actual writing I like a lot on this, but fortunately my interest in this band is not what it was when it first came out. I mean, I did everything to help promote them because I knew more people could like them because of how popular like Opeth was and in the Dream Theater fan base, the prog metal, you know. And so this is that was 2012, I believe, Portal of Eye, and then the follow-up was Citadel. In 2014, got that too. I think I might have, I bought this at the show. Limited to 350 units worldwide. I'd like to check to see what this lists on. At least initially it was. What is listed on Discogs, but unfortunately, they had an album that came out this year and I never listened to it. I saw them live once. The blast beats, the emphasis on the blast beats in the mix have just killed their sound for me. I still would lean toward just go back and listen to that, especially Aurora Veil, but if they don't have their other 2 records, I think both of them probably came out on vinyl. At least 2 others. Earn, and I forget the one that just came out this year, but I heard mixed comments. Some people thought the new record's not that great. It's kind of doesn't compare to Portal of Eye. Some people think it's just on par with Portal of Eye. It's among the best stuff they've done anyway. So moving on into the Ends, another extreme metal album. This is from the band Necrophagist, among the most kind of extreme technical death metal bands. This band's right up there. They only have 2 or 3 proper. I believe this is Epitaph. Yeah, you know, and this is $20. I don't think I would have spent $20. I mean, $20 is a pretty decent price, especially now for vinyl. This is on Relapse. Came out 2004. I think this is the last one they released. I mean, people have been waiting for them to put out another record, but I know like some of the members have done what's the project? I know it's named after the Cynic album or Cynic song. I forget. or they're compared to Synth. They do there's another project since that the members have done, Necrophagist. I mean, they're from Germany. They've done some touring, but it's been now 19 years, but I don't have their previous record on vinyl, but I do have it on CD. But yeah, I mean, it's with Spawn of Possession and a couple other bands, Martyr, among the sort of, you know, essentials, the best kind of cream of the crop of technical death metal that I've at least listened to. I can't deny that their chops are amazing, and I don't get lost too much in their albums. I mean, I think this album's only like 35 minutes. I know a lot of their albums are short, so it's like less is more. Give me the chops, give me the energy, and I'm done. That's what I get out of technical death metal mainly. A lot of these metal bands, I get repetitive, and the albums go on too long, and I don't go back to them. But Necrophagist, while I got to be in the right mood to listen to them, I hold them at among the highest level of technical death metal, especially. All right, moving on. I only have one album from this band, Nektar, A Tab in the Ocean. I thought I had what is it? The album with is it Recycled? Yeah, I've seen their other records, but I never ended up buying it. And this is a Canadian pressing from this album, so maybe that was one reason why I picked it up from 1976. So it's kind of a little later. It also has The King of Twilight. You know, Nektar I saw live at Nearfest in 2002. They had like this Grateful Dead-like fan base. It was just people crazy for Nektar. And then I saw them, what was about 15 years later in the early 2010s with Wishbone Ash. And I like them. I mean, you know, they're sort of psychedelic prog. They considered part of the Canterbury scene. I can't remember. I know there was this whole joke about them in Caravan. Carmel. I'm thinking of Camel and Caravan. Yeah, so Nektar may not be part of the Canterbury scene, actually. I may be wrong on this. I think this was repressed in Ontario. I think they recorded in Ontario, but I believe they're British, though. But, yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of those bands where I can definitely say I like what I've heard, but I can't really name you, like, memorable parts. Anyway, I'm going to add this into it. So, yeah, Nektar, I've seen some of their other records. I don't even Remember the Future, I think, is one of the ones I see, but yeah, I mean, I like their music, but it's just not that memorable. But at the same time, I know they have their epics, and I like them more than some of the other sort of B and C level prog bands, I guess, in some ways, just because I've seen them live. And anyway, but yeah, King of Twilight's the one that sounds a lot like is it the Genesis song? In the Cage. I'm always reminded of that. And this came out like 2 years after The Lamb was on Broadway. So anyway. Tab in the Ocean from Nektar. So I have, what is it, 3 or 4 at least? Yeah, 4 records from Nektar. I showed the Monkeys in the last video. And I gotta make sure I'm showing, this in the right order. If I can get this in the right order. Well, you know. So Michael Nesmith. Well, my wife has, a few dozen of his records at least. I have just the 4. I have 2 of the red. I don't have the white one. I forget that one's Loose Salute, I think. But I have Magnetic South. No, I have Loose Salute. The red one's Loose Salute. Nevada Fighter's the one I'm missing. So the first of the first 3 that he released right after he left the Monkees in 1970. Calico Girlfriend's on Magnetic South, the blue one. Joanne, of course, that's the big hit he had early on in his career. And then, Loose Salute has Silver Moon, that's one, and Tango Amore, Lady of the Valley, and Hello Lady. Listen to the Band. Listen to the Band, of course, was a standard, and I think they did that frequently with the Monkees as well. And I think it might be on one of the Monkees, like Missing Links, a different version of it. Conversations. Yeah, it's. I mean, my wife is a absolute fanatical. She's a bigger fan of Michael Nesmith than I am of Kevin Gilbert. So this stuff she knows ins and outs. So I have to be corrected, and I hear about it. So then I have Infinite Rider on the Big Dogma, which this was late '70s. Those 2 were 1970. I want to get the timing on this correct. What year was this one? So I also have. So this one must have come first. I have. From a Radio Engine to the Photon Wing. And is this the one? This one has Rio, which among, like Joanne is probably his second, or maybe his it's probably his biggest hit. The song he did the video for, probably his biggest hit actually, if he had to consider. I think that's about it from my memory of what I think of this record for. Granted, I haven't listened to it in a long time. And then I have, that was 19, again, I'm not certain about that. I want to say this was 75, 76, 77, mid to late 70s. And then Infinite Rider on the Big Dogma was a little bit later. And this is the one that has, I believe it has a capsule, I think. Yes. And that capsule is, you know, I don't have Tantamount Treason, which has, why am I spacing that? The song that I enjoy the most from him, I can't even remember, but Capsule's among them. I haven't revisited, and then I sent that in the Roulette in the Dream Theater forums. Why can't I remember I'll post it in the comments. But anyways, the Red Roads psychedelic solo, that it wasn't even written by Michael Nesmith, but that's on Tantamount Treason, which was not the first national band, it was the second national band. It'll come to me, I'm sure it will. Anyway, those are the 4 Michael Nesmith albums I have. You know, people that don't know him and think he's just a country artist, it's not true. He's progressive. You know, he's country rock, you know. A little bit like Graham Parsons, Wax Minute. You know, Tantamount Treason has Wax Minute. It has some other songs, but that's my wife's #1 song from Michael Nesmith, and I would have a hard time saying it's not my #1 song. So, moving on to the ends, the rest of the ends here, I have 2 albums from the band The New Pornographers, the sort of super group power pop collaborative thing with Nico Case, Dan Behar, and A.C. Newman. You know, they have some other members that play with them. These are the 2 of the early records. Twin Cinema was like their 3rd record, and I consider this my favorite. I mean, it's kind of splitting hairs, and then I have Electric Version. I think this is the one that has It's Only Divine Right. Yeah, that's kind of proggy, that track, It's Only Divine Right. It came out in, I think this is the debut album in 2003. I think. I forget the red, one of the red covers, the one I have on CD, because I have their first 4 albums, I think, on CD. And then Challengers, this came out in 2005, so I'm thinking actually this might have been their 2nd record. Yeah, Twin Cinema, from beginning to end, this has Sping Me Spanish Techo. I find that is the most consistent record among all their, but they're a great, like, sort of indie, call it indie, or, you know, indie art rock college art rock power pop band. The power pop probably being the biggest emphasis. They have the 3 different singers, you know, that take turns on the lead vocals, and although I have to admit that I didn't become a fan till Challengers. So Challengers, the one from 2007, which I have on CD, is the one that that's the album I maybe know the best still, because I was listening to it a lot when it came out. But yeah, you know, so these are two of their better records. I've seen their other ones, but Mass Romantic, that's one I'm not thinking of. The records after Challengers just have not done that much for me. Here and there, they had a couple songs here and there, but they've had like 4 records, and I know that I think A.C. Newman left. One of the 2, the Behar and Newman, one of them left and isn't on the new record that came out earlier this year. So, all right, moving on. So this is the one album, the one proper full length from this band. They have an EP that I really like too. This is local Minnesota band Nomia, who I would describe. This is their album from 2014, Iron and Rust. It's not metal, it's not prog metal, but I would say there's definitely sort of a post-progressive. It's kind of like Long Distance Calling in some ways. It gets heavy. I wouldn't call it metal exactly, but it gets heavy. The riffs are heavy, and it's very atmospheric, and they're kind of an unknown, you know, like a lot of bands in my hometown. You know, I believe that they're great. Like Bryce plays drums, Leto and Wright. You know, I mean, Bubble Math, the only band that the prog rock scene and the Galactic Hubbard's are to a smaller extent have caught on to. But, you know, Nomia, last time they've done, this was almost 10 years ago. I don't know what they're doing. They have a great EP, but then this album came out. It was a big deal. It's like they're finally putting out their full length. I knew them through Between Two Skies. That's how I first discovered them. Between Two Skies, who never put out a full length themselves. They only put out an EP. They were a bunch of Dredge fans. But yeah, Nomia, Iron and Rust in 2014. You know, when I do my albums of the year, it may be showing up. We'll see from that year. So then I have 2 albums to end out the ends here from talking about post rock. British, or I think it was British, at least from the UK on the K-Scope label, post rock band with a lot of like cinematic elements, samples, and everything, and dynamics, different instrumentation. Nordic Giants. I have what is basically like it's a combination of 2 EPs. Build Seas and Dismantle Suns. They released them individually. I don't know if it was just digitally, but they put them out as one as a. And I know I put this on my albums of the year list, and the year it came out, I think it was 2014 at the bottom, because I didn't know where to put it, because it was like, it's 2 EPs, but I love it. It's fantastic. Among post-rock that's come out the last decade, this is among, if not my favorite. This particular release, I would actually say. So I did get the record that followed it, A Seance of Dark Delusions. And I like this. I mean, it's more of the same. In some ways, it's more polished. It's better production. They use samples again. Different like political and social thing, like political speeches and stuff, and they're very I don't know, like post-apocalyptic or the end of the world's coming, that kind of thing. Is it doom and gloom? In some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. They put out a record last year I liked. I didn't like it as much, but the one before that, the one I think they put out like maybe 3 records since then. I've liked all of them. They're a little bit like in that sense Archive, the band Archive. I don't have any vinyl for, unfortunately, but in that they keep on putting out record I like. But none of them have, like, blown me away. And none of them have blown me away like this particular, this 2 EP set that they released back in 2014, which is like a debut. I believe it was the first works they did. So, anyway, that's it for the ends. Please, I'll go on to the O's maybe later. I just got interrupted, of course, earlier. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.